With the passage of time, our society is also making continuous progress, and now the people in our country can already live a relatively prosperous life. And we can clearly find that there are more and more middle-class families in society, and the living conditions displayed by most people are very superior. However, according to the data given by the Middle Class Report, there are only 33.2 million households in my country that have truly reached the middle class, which is undoubtedly a very small number for our country's 1.4 billion population. So, what exactly is the standard of the middle class? Does your family meet this standard? 1. What is the definition of the middle class? We believe friends who have a certain understanding of the economy should know that Marxism divides the bourgeoisie into three types, namely the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class. The difference between the three classes also represents three different groups, and these three groups will also determine the economic development potential of the country. Among them, the middle class is the most important to the country because the number of middle-class groups can directly show the economic development of the country. Therefore, in order to be able to see the level of each country more intuitively, there is a set of international standards for each class. The standard of the upper class is a height that is difficult for ordinary people to reach, because if you want to reach the upper class, you must have a certain scale of industry, and your capital pool must reach tens of millions. You must know that in the Huron rankings, there are only about 2 million people in our country with assets of more than 10 million yuan, which means that there are only 2 million middle-class families in China. The middle class has lower standards than the upper class. According to the latest middle-class standards, as long as a family owns fixed real estate and vehicles in the city and can achieve a stable monthly income of 45,000 yuan, a family with a deposit of at least 1.5 million can be called middle class. Combining the above content, the standard of the middle class is not very high, so why are there only 33.2 million households in my country that meet the standard? Is the economic development of our country not optimistic? 2. Families reaching the middle class in China. We believe that everyone must have seen the news that our country has entered a well-off society in an all-round way in the news. So many people think that there are not a few middle classes in our country. However, judging from the results shown in the data, the number of middle classes in our country is not large, and there are two reasons for this result. A. House prices. First of all, the first reason for the small number of middle classes in our country is housing prices. In super first-tier cities such as Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, the price of houses has reached several million to tens of millions. If the property is located in the city center, then the price will be several times higher. This high housing price is beyond the reach of many families, so most families with houses and cars now have the pressure of mortgage and car loans. For example, if you buy a house of about 100 square meters in Shenzhen, you have to pay at least 20 to 30 years of mortgage, in addition to the down payment. This makes it difficult for many families to save funds in their hands after purchasing real estate. So from this point of view, these families do not meet the definition of the middle class. B. Salary. The second reason for the small number of middle classes in China is salary. In the workplace in the first-tier cities, it is not uncommon to find jobs with a monthly salary of over 10,000 yuan. But if you want to achieve a monthly salary of 40,000 to 50,000 yuan, it is undoubtedly very difficult. Even in big cities, jobs with a monthly salary of 40,000 to 50,000 yuan are very rare. Not to mention that there are so many small and medium-sized cities in my country. Therefore, under this premise, if you want to achieve the salary of the middle class, you can only achieve it through entrepreneurship. This means that it is difficult for people working in the workplace to enter the middle class. 3. How to increase the number of middle-class families. Today, China has become the second largest economy in the world, and a world power second only to the United States. However, compared with the United States and other Western developed countries, the number of middle-class families in China is not dominant, and most of Chinese families are still struggling on the well-off line. So what should be done to increase the number of middle-class families in China? In fact, if you want to increase the number of middle-class families, you cannot do without the support of national policies and the adjustment of workplace wages. As long as the overall income level of the people can be increased, the number of middle-class families will also show an increase. Epilogue. At present, there are only about 33.2 million households in our country that meet the middle-class standard. However, it is believed that with the continuous development of the economy, there will be more and more middle-class families, and the economy will become more and more prosperous. So, judging from the latest middle-class standards, have the friends in front of the screen reached the middle-class standards? If not, how far are you from the middle class? Leave your answers in the comment section, and let's discuss it together.